Yasser Arafat nearly choked me with an egg. So I had the whole top brass of the PLO on one side of the table facing me, and my fixer's going, I'm talking to him, this is good, I'm talking to him. And then my fixer and me, and then Yasser Arafat and a few of the others there. Oh, you're not eating, eat. And Arabs feed each other a lot, hand to mouth, because it's the hospitality thing. But because he goes straight for a whole boiled egg and just rams it in my mouth, and I am sitting there. I think I'm going to do the George Bush vomiting on the honoured guest at the dinner party, and I was like, just gag, thinking what's going to happen next. And my fixers just saw me and just leant over and went, swallow it. I don't know much Arabic, but I do know how to say Yatikalafia Shabab went in for Jar, which means blessing on your health, mate. Where was the explosion? One of the incidents I think that really threw me was early on in Bethlehem. I'd interviewed this guy from Bethlehem who his house had been blown up, and we'd finished, and suddenly there's this just incredibly big explosion, and then another two. And we're trying to work out immediately, like, where is it? Are we under attack? Like, we immediately sort of take a bit of shelter, chuck our helmet and flak jackets on, then we sort of getting up, taking stock. Is there more coming? Like, is that a tank? Is it a landmine? Like, it actually was a helicopter. No one had even seen or heard it. Had fired 3 missiles into this guy's car. It was the first assassination the Israelis did in the Second Intifada. So by the time we get up the hill, the scene is this guy's small utility is ablaze, and in particular him still sitting in the driver's seat with like flames going about 3 metres straight up out of his shoulders and head. It's like, okay, I clocked that. It's not too bad because it's so intense you can't really see. And then it's that classic thing they try and replicate in movies. All of my senses of this are completely distorted. I mean, the explosion has shaken us, and then we're in this scene of hysteria. And when something like that happens, there's this acute, it's like following the actual physical shockwave. It's like there's a psychological shockwave that goes out with it. So everyone's in hysteria. This is in the middle of a civilian centre. So there's people running around. I see the guy we've just interviewed goes running past with his shoulder hanging off, like in just, his arm's there, but his shoulder's like been really seriously blown away, a lot of it. And then I hear this one woman moaning, and I turn around and there's 2 very traditionally dressed Palestinian women in their 50s who've been thrown up against a sandstone wall. And I thought they were just in shock up against it. So I'm trying to sort of work out, what should I do? Should I be recording? Should I be taking photos? Are we in danger? Is another one coming? But I remember clearly these 2 women, and I thought, okay, they're in shock. They'll be all right. And then I remember turning around, and one of them was like speaking in Arabic to me, and I realised that both of them had been disemboweled by the explosion. So I was weeping, but there was no sense that I was crying. It wasn't like I was crying. I just remember, I think it was just shock. Like they were cut open completely in their midriffs, both of them, thrown up and died over the next 20 or 30 seconds or a minute while I was watching them. There's one of them talking to me, and those immediate moments of violence and shock, and the psychological shockwave that goes through you. It is obviously, in telling the story, it's awful. It's awful. But the immediacy of it, and the trying to fathom what's happening at a time when you're also fearful, and also trying to work out, should I be working? It's like everything is firing in your brain at once, and you've been confronted with just this series of things. It happened to me once again at Nablus. We'd covered a demonstration, and we'd pulled back to what we thought was a safe area. The Israelis on the hills in Nablus use a Swiss-made sniper rifle that fires 50 caliber shells, and they're like anti-aircraft shells. They're huge. They're like, the cartridges are like this, and they can take they use video cameras. Their range is so big that they use video cameras in key areas, remote mounted, to pick off people, say, take him from a kilometre away. So they'll have a video camera down there, and the commanding officer will be sitting up watching it on television screen, point him, and bang. And the noise they make is terrifying. The 2 most frightening things I've ever heard in warfare was being under a bombing run from jets, really scary because it's so unpredictable and sudden, and the sound of those sniper rifles, just, every time it's so sudden, this supersonic just crack, like the whole sky is opened, Anyway, we pulled right back and we sort of saved, and I just happened to watch this kid of 12 or 13 sort of walking across the road onto median strip about 40 metres away with his hand up, and I don't know, maybe he had a pistol in his hand or something, I don't know. But the next thing, his head just atomised, like at the same sound as this crack. And I just happened to be looking right at him as it happened, and I sort of couldn't believe it. It was like something out of a hideous movie. And before I'd sort of registered what has happened, his friends, in their shock and hysteria, were on top of us, holding his brains and skull and hair fragments in their hands and asking us, film this, film this. So, but my immediate reaction is, we can't shoot that. Sammer, turn off the camera, make them go away. I'm just so freaked out by it myself. And their immediate reaction, of course, because their culture of what you can shoot is so different, is if they're not shooting it, why is he here? Are they Jewish spies? So suddenly we go from these guys, these hysterical, blood-covered, brain-covered guys, friends of this kid, surrounding us, and the words going out with a whole bunch of other people getting sort of hit here and there, and this crowd of a few thousand, and suddenly we're the enemy, we're the spies. It just shows how things can suddenly go wrong in a situation where you're responding from a instinctive, or just, you can't think rationally, or that would be dangerous for me to say that. You just make that decision. Unfortunately, my cameraman, Fixer, really well-connected guy, rang another faction of Palestinian militiamen immediately, and they rock up in a open car, in a ute, with about 8 of them with AK-47s and M16s shooting in the air, and cleared all these guys out. But we could have been pulled apart. Here you are, you're sort of at one stage confronted by this horrific thing and trying to deal with that, and then suddenly the fear of your own position that suddenly hits you. It's quite a damaging, strange sensation. The Middle East there were some dreadful moments. I had some great moments too. I had great moments going to war as well, I've got to say. I feel completely switched on. Gee, I've sort of missed the sound of, an AK-47 raking a street. And I just thought, that is so totally fucked up,